What up, guys? We are back with another breakdown and predictions video for UFC Fight Night, Vettori vs. Cannonier. Real quick, I just want to talk about recap about last week, UFC 289. We went 3-1 on our picks. Miranda Maverick being the one loss. She basically cost us a 9-fight parlay. We went 8-9 on the parlay for the night. But either way, it's been a great couple of weeks of betting. We had a big 10-fight parlay on the week before UFC 289 on the UFC Fight Night. And then the week of UFC 289, we had another 8-fight parlay on one of the local UFC Fight Pass shows. And it's been two great weeks, two big parlays. And let's see if we can keep it going this week. There's lots of fights this week. We got PFL, we got Bellator, we got UFC. So definitely going to be looking at matching some of those picks and see if we can get a big parlay out and keep the streak going. But without further ado, let's get right into the breakdown and predictions for UFC Fight Night, Vettori vs. Cannonier, with the first fight of the night. We got Modestas Bukauskas versus Zach Punga. Zach Punga's pretty good, man. He doesn't look like he'd be all that good, but he is pretty decently athletic for a guy his body shape, and he has decent striking. He obviously, his main game plan is to get you up against the fence and drain the clock, and he was able to do that to his last opponent. But I think Modestas Bukauskas has been looking pretty good in his last fight, man. He's been able to put it all together. He looks like he's coming into his own. He's a well-rounded guy. I think he's got better striking than Zach Punga. Definitely knows how to keep it longer. It's all about if he can stop the cage wrestling of Zach Punga, and I think he'll be able to do that. So I'm going to go with Modestas in this one. I think he'll be able to negate the game plan of Zach Punga. If Zach Punga was a little bit more technical in those areas that he's decent at, not saying he's bad, but if he was just that little level above, then I'd probably pick him just against Modestas, just stylistically for that one, but not quite there yet. I'm going to go with Bukauskas to win this one. Moving on, Ronnie Lawrence, Dan Argueta. I'm going to go with Ronnie Lawrence, man. Dan Argueta is one of those typical, overhand to double leg fighters. He's going to be looking to get you down. He's going for double legs, and I think Ronnie Lawrence, he lost his last fight against Saeed, but it's because Saeed had a different type of grappling. He was going for the judo and upper body wrestling, and he was able to get throws on Ronnie Lawrence, and it really caught him off guard, I feel. The one time, though, that I can recall where Saeed went for a double leg, Ronnie Lawrence did like this sick, he like rolled into an omoplata. It was really nice. So I think if you're going for just conventional takedowns like Dan Argueta is going to do against Ronnie Lawrence, he's going to have a really tough time. Ronnie Lawrence is going to be a lot slicker on the feet, a lot better, a lot more versatile. And he's a good grappler as well, man. He's a really good grappler. You can't forget that. But I think he'll be able to stuff those conventional takedowns from Dan Argueta and cruise to a decision victory on the feet. Moving on to a women's fight, Teresa Bleda, Gabriela Fernandez. I don't bet on women's fights, but I'll give you guys a pick. It's basically a coin flip for most of these fights. So why not go with the underdog, who I think has a pretty good chance anyways. We'll go with Gabriela Fernandez by finish or decision. She's pretty good on the feet. Teresa Bleda is pretty young. She's got a lot of time to grow, but we're taking the underdog, man. Why not? Let's go with Gabriela Fernandez. Moving on, Zhalgas Magala versus Felipe Buenas. Oh, man, Zhalgas, dude. He's probably the best, 1-5 fighter in the UFC. He could arguably be 3-2 or 4-1. So many of those decisions just don't go his way, and it's really sad to see. But he's getting another chance against debuting Felipe Buenas, who isn't bad, but he isn't like a superstar prospect, blue chip prospect that coming into the UFC that you're like, oh, watch out for this guy. But he's not terrible at all. The only thing that scares me, obviously, with Brazilian fighters is if they get taken down, they tend to spend a lot of time on their back trying to work their jiu-jitsu. But as well as Zhalgas has good power in his hands, he's durable, and he has decently fast hands, good calf kicks, and good wrestling. So I'm going to go with Zhalgas to win this one against the debuting Felipe Buenas. Moving on, Carlos Hernandez versus Denis Bondar. I'm going to go with Carlos Hernandez. I think he should be able to be way more technical than Denis on the feet. He's going to light him up with volume. Denis doesn't do nearly as much on the feet as Carlos Hernandez. And I think if Denis goes for the takedown, Carlos is really good at, as soon as his butt touches the ground, he scrambles right back up to get to his feet and doesn't let his shoulders hit the mat. So I'm going to go with Carlos Hernandez by decision. He's going to decision his way to a victory by just being putting more volume on the feet than Denis Bondar, and being more versatile, at better footwork, and stuffing any takedowns if they do come. But like again, Denny's gonna have the strength advantage for sure and the power advantage, so you got to watch out for that. But Carlos looks like he has a pretty sturdy head on his shoulders, so we'll go with Carlos Hernandez by decision. Moving on, Kwang Hyo Kang versus Christian Quinones. I like Kwang Hyo Kang, man. He's got a really technical stand-up style. It's really nice to watch. He's coming off a win. Who did he win against? He's coming off a win against who is that guy? Oh yeah. Dana Batrigal. That's who he beat last. He's coming off a win versus Dana Batrigal. But who hasn't beat Dana at this point? I don't even think he's in the UFC anymore. And Christian Quinones coming off a really good win against Khalid Taha, man. I thought he was going to lose that one. He came out, knocked him out in the first round. Very impressive performance. He's young, trying to make his name in the UFC, and I think this is a good matchup for him to do it. This is going to be primarily a striking battle. Kwang Hyo Kang is going to have the prettier striking, but I think Quinones will have the cardio to push the pace and land the more damaging shots. So I got Christian Quinones winning this one. Moving on, Alexander Costa versus Jimmy Flick. Man, Alexander Costa, he had a really tough fight in his UFC debut against Amir Albazi. And if you're going to look at him just based on that one, you're probably not going to give him much of a chance. But you got to know Amir Albazi is really high level to come in on UFC debut. And Jimmy Flick, he's you know what he wants to do. He wants to get you to the ground. He wants to go for a submission, and he wants to end the fight. I've looked at most of his fights. If he's not ending it by submission, he's probably losing the fight. And I feel like it's going to be really hard for him to get a submission against a really strong strength. He has a lot of strength, and he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. So it's going to be hard for him to get a submission on a guy who's stronger and has a good grappling game, as well as he has good takedown defense and heavy hands. The only thing that really scares me about Alexander Costa is his lack of activity. Like the guy will just sit there and just stare at his opponent for minutes on end, doing nothing. Even against guys he should have gone out there in round one, he'll just literally do nothing, and it's kind of scary in this matchup because I'm scared that he might let Jimmy Flick get out ahead on the scorecard for whatever reason, and then he's gonna have to be looking at a finish, and if he doesn't get that, then he'll lose by decision. So either way, I'm gonna go with Alexander Costa with the note that if he's not active enough, he might lose this fight. But I think he does have the skill set and the attributes to be able to beat a guy like Jimmy Flick, who's primarily looking for the submission and the grappling, and whose striking is a little bit sloppy. And so I'll go with Alexander Costa to win this one, probably by finish. Moving on, Muslim Salikov versus Nicholas Dalby. Nicholas Dalby is one of those annoying fighters who's tough, who's in your face, who's really hard to get out of there. Good cardio. He's going to be pushing the pace usually. He doesn't get any finishes. I'm pretty sure I looked at his record in the UFC, and he's got like no finishes. So he's going to be pitter-pattering his way around, but he's just always going to be there. Versus Muslim Salikov, who's way better striker, way cleaner, way better kicks, spinning attacks, everything, and he's also a better wrestler. So we got Muslim Salikov to win this one. Although Muslim Salikov does kind of tend to fade later on in the fights, I do expect him to be able to work Nicholas Dalby on the feet, and as long as he's not spending too much energy trying to take him down early, he should be able to cruise his way to a victory. It's going to be hard to get Nicholas Dalby out of there, so I don't feel too confident saying a finish, but I do, if it's a finish, expect it to be Muslim Salikov for sure. Even if it's the decision, I do still give the edge to Muslim Salikov, so we'll take him to win that one. Moving on in the lightweight division, Manuel Torres versus Nicholas Mota. Both these guys, very similar styles. They're both strikers, very good on the feet, fast hands, good takedown defense as well. I was just looking at their takedown defense, 100%. Man, it's a very good matchup. Both young guys, both powerful strikers. We're going to go with the underdog. Might as well, because I don't think skill-wise there's not much of a difference here. It doesn't even show the odds. There's not much of a difference, but we're going to go with Nicholas Mota. He's the underdog. He's shown to have really good technical Muay Thai, and I think he has what it takes to win this one for sure. So we'll go with Nicholas Mota to win this one. I know he got knocked out by Jim Miller, but I mean, Jim Miller 2.0, he's looking, renewed. He just basically murdered a guy like a week ago. So, we're not gonna fault him for that. And I do think he's got what it takes to win this fight. When it's gonna be a mainly striking battle. So we'll take Nicholas Mota as the underdog. Moving on, Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. Man, Lucas Almeida is going to make this a fun fight. He's just going to literally rush forward, try to take Pat Sabatini's head off, zombie his way in. But I do think it's going to leave him open for takedowns, which is primarily Pat Sabatini's game plan. Pat's coming off a knockout loss against Damon Jackson. It was a pretty fluky one, I'm not going to lie. It was a front kick up the middle, kind of one of those, flash knockouts that you don't expect, especially a guy like Damon Jackson to get. So we know his chin is going to be in question coming into this Lucas Almeida fight. He's got to watch out for the knees up the middle when he's going for takedowns. Other than that, though, I do think, like I said, Lucas Almeida's got also decent hips. Like when you go for takedown on him, he starts scrambling real hard to make sure that he gets his hips under. So it's gonna be a barn burner fight because of Lucas Almeida. But if Pat Sabatini has his way, he should be able to get Lucas Almeida down and control him. And Pat's not one of those dudes that when he gets somebody down, he doesn't just lay there. He does actually go for strikes, which is, I think, going to get him to win this one. So we'll take Pat Sabatini, but it's going to be a fun fight nonetheless.